This video is about the mom got lost at the aquarium, and a rich stranger offered to carry her bag. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. The sun streamed through the glass ceilings of the aquarium, casting fragmented patterns of light on the polished floor. Families meandered, laughter blending with the gentle gurgling of water and soft whispers of awe. Evelyn Foster stood rooted at the entrance, a kaleidoscope of sea creatures dancing behind her blue eyes. Her heart raced, a curious mix of excitement and trepidation, but it was the weight of her oversized tote bag that tethered her to reality. "Mom, look at that jellyfish," her 10-year-old son, Lucas, shouted, tugging at her sleeve. His face lit up with a toothy grin as he pointed at the ethereal creatures gliding through their tank like living lanterns. "Wow, that's amazing, sweetheart," she replied, forcing a smile. But her mind swirled with other thoughts. A recent divorce left her feeling adrift, full of insecurities that had little to do with jellyfish. "Can we go see the sharks next?" Lucas asked, his enthusiasm infectious. "Sure, just give me a second," she said, adjusting the bag slung over her shoulder. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A reminder from her sister to go on a date, an idea that made her stomach churn. She'd hardly had time to process her broken marriage, let alone dive back into the dating pool. "Mom!" Lucas hollered again, pulling her out of her spiraling thoughts. "I'm going." Okay, just wait for me," she called, watching as he darted further into the crowd. She hesitated for a moment, feeling that familiar pang of guilt. Was she doing enough for him? As she attempted to maneuver through the throng of visitors, the strap of her tote slipped from her shoulder, pulling her bag dangerously close to the ground. "Just great," she muttered under her breath, bending to adjust it. It was then that she bumped into someone, the collision of bags and bodies jarring her from her thoughts. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, looking up to find a strikingly handsome man with tousled dark hair and a tailored navy blazer, his eyes an arresting shade of green. "No harm done," he replied, a charming smile spreading across his face. "I must admit, it's not every day I get shoulder-barged by a bag this size. Are you carrying half the ocean in there?" Evelyn blushed, a flutter in her stomach. "Just the essentials," she replied, her cheeks warming. "And maybe a few snacks." "Priorities, I see," he said, his gaze lingering on her a moment longer than she was comfortable with. "I'm Oliver, by the way. And you are?" "Evelyn," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "It's nice to meet you." "Likewise. Are you here with family?" he asked, gesturing toward the direction where Lucas had run off. "My son Lucas," she said, a hint of pride slipping into her tone. "He's obsessed with everything aquatic." "Seems like a good passion to have," Oliver replied, a twinkle in his eye. "I'm here for work, but I figured I'd take a break and explore. It's been a long week." A flicker of understanding passed between them. They were both searching for an escape, albeit for different reasons. Evelyn hesitated for a moment, caught between the magnetic pull of his presence and the nagging voice in her head warning her to keep her distance. "Can I help with that bag?" he offered, eyeing the cumbersome tote now slipping from her grasp. "It looks like it might be weighing you down." "Oh, I couldn't possibly. I insist." He took a step closer, and the subtle scent of his cologne, a mix of cedar and something fresh, wrapped around her, momentarily distracting her. His confidence was palpable, and she found herself captivated. "All right, thank you." She relented, handing over the strap. His fingers brushed against hers, and an unexpected jolt of electricity coursed through her. They started walking side by side, and Evelyn glanced at him, curiosity piqued. "So what do you do for work?" "I'm in finance," he said, his tone casual. "But I'm also trying to explore some personal projects, something more creative. You know how it is." "I suppose," she said. "I used to work in marketing, but right now, I'm just focused on being a mom." "Sounds like a full-time job," he said with a hint of admiration. "How's that going?" "Honestly," she paused, weighing her honesty against a stranger's ears. "It's, challenging, but rewarding too. Lucas deserves the world." They wandered through the aquarium, stopping at various exhibits. A school of vibrant fish darted past, and Lucas appeared at her side again, eyes wide with wonder. "Mom, look at those! Beautiful, aren't they?" Oliver said, kneeling beside Lucas, who seemed thrilled to have both adults so captivated by the underwater world. "Yeah. Did you know some of them can change color?" Lucas exclaimed, his enthusiasm bridging the gap between them. "I did know that," Oliver responded, sharing a conspiratorial grin with Lucas. "Nature is full of surprises." Evelyn watched them, warmth spreading in her chest. She felt a strange connection with Oliver, an unanticipated spark igniting something within her she thought had gone dormant. "Mom, can we go see the sharks now?" Lucas asked, tugging on her arm once more, pulling her back to reality. "Sure, let's go," she replied, excitement bubbling up again. But as they started to walk, she found herself lingering just a bit closer to Oliver, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. Once they reached the shark tank, the atmosphere shifted. The massive creatures glided silently beneath the surface, their presence both awe-inspiring and intimidating. Lucas pressed his face against the glass, eyes wide, while Evelyn's heart thudded in her chest. "It's amazing, isn't it?" Oliver said, glancing at her. "Yeah," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It really is." Their shoulders brushed as they stood side by side, and the air crackled with tension. "So, I have to ask," Oliver continued, breaking the momentary silence. "What's a lovely mom like you doing at an aquarium? Any special occasion?" "Just trying to give my son a good day out," she replied, a slight edge creeping into her voice, hinting at the unease she felt. "What about you? Just a fleeting curiosity." He chuckled softly, leaning a bit closer. "You could say that, but perhaps I'm hoping for a little more than just a view of fish." Evelyn's heart raced at his implication. Was he flirting with her? She felt a mix of exhilaration and confusion. Oh? And what might that be? "Maybe a chance to get to know the interesting woman carrying half the ocean," he said, his tone playful yet earnest. "Oliver," she started, but before she could finish, Lucas exclaimed, "Mom, look! The sharks are coming closer." They turned as a majestic shark glided right up to the glass, its sleek form captivating Lucas's full attention. Evelyn felt a momentary gratitude for the distraction, but the lingering intensity between her and Oliver was palpable. "Little guy's got a good eye," Oliver remarked, nudging her shoulder lightly. "Yes, he does," she replied, feeling the warmth of the moment wash over her. But beneath that warmth, doubts began to creep in. This charming stranger was from a world so different from her own, a world she was no longer sure she belonged to. "Listen, Evelyn," Oliver said, breaking through her thoughts. "We should grab a coffee or something after this, if you're up for it. I'd love to keep chatting." The offer hung between them, bold and inviting, yet laden with unspoken truths. Evelyn's mind raced. Could she really step out of her comfort zone? Even for a moment. Before she could answer, Lucas turned, eyes sparkling. "Can we, Mom? Please?" Evelyn looked between the two of them, caught in a moment of indecision. The invitation felt like an escape, but it was also a leap into a world fraught with uncertainty. As she searched Oliver's hopeful expression, a flicker of something more, a hint of possibility, bloomed in her chest. "All right," she finally said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Let's go for coffee." As they walked toward the exit, bags in hand and excitement buzzing in the air, Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that this day, this chance encounter, might just reshape her path in ways she hadn't dared to imagine. The trio made their way out of the aquarium, the soft sounds of splashing water fading behind them. Lucas, still buzzing from the excitement of their adventure, bounced ahead of them, his laughter echoing in the bright atrium. Evelyn trailed slightly behind, her heart racing, not just from the day's events, but from the unexpected connection she felt with Oliver. "Did you see that shark?" Lucas exclaimed, turning back to them, his face flushed with excitement. "It was like a giant torpedo." "Yeah, it was incredible," Oliver replied, his smile warm and inviting. "I think it was showing off for you." "Do you think sharks really get to know us?" Lucas asked, his young mind racing with curiosity. "Like, do they remember faces?" Evelyn chuckled softly, appreciating his innocent perspective. "Maybe they do in their own way, sweetheart. They might not remember faces, but they know food, that's for sure." Oliver laughed, the sound deep and genuine. "Well, I know one thing for sure. They don't have to worry about carrying heavy bags. That's a luxury I think we should all appreciate." Evelyn shot him a sidelong glance, her heart warming at his playful tone. "Speaking of which, I owe you for taking my bag. Thank you for that. It really helped." "Only fair," he replied, his green eyes sparkling as he looked down at her. "You're giving me a chance to spend more time with this wonderful little guy." As they exited the aquarium, the sun was still high, casting a golden glow over the parking lot. Evelyn felt the heat of the day wrap around her, mingling with the heat of the moment. Lucas dashed ahead, eager to explore the world outside, and the two adults fell into a comfortable rhythm behind him. "So, where should we go for coffee?" Oliver asked, glancing down at Evelyn. The way he looked at her made her stomach flutter, and she felt a sense of urgency, as though their time was limited. "There's a little cafe just a block away," she said. "They have the best pastries." "Perfect. I could use something sweet right about now," he said, his voice smooth, laced with charm. As they walked, the teasing tension hung in the air between them, punctuated by the laughter of Lucas up ahead. Evelyn's thoughts danced between the unexpected thrill of their encounter and her lingering fears about stepping back into the world of dating. Was she ready for this? Would it complicate her already tumultuous life? "Tell me about Lucas," Oliver said, breaking into her thoughts. "What's he like?" Evelyn smiled, the pride in her voice evident. "He's a dreamer, obsessed with everything related to the ocean, always asking questions, always imagining what life is like under the sea." "That's wonderful. He sounds like a curious kid," Oliver said thoughtfully. "Does he want to be a marine biologist?" "Actually," she began, glancing at Lucas, who was hopping around like a little fish in a tank, "he talks about being an astronaut sometimes, too. He's got a fascination with space." "An astronaut? Wow, that's ambitious," Oliver remarked, a genuine admiration in his tone. "He has a lot of dreams for such a young age." Evelyn felt a flutter of connection with Oliver's appreciation for her son. They reached the cafe, a small place adorned with ocean-themed art, and Evelyn couldn't help but feel a swell of nostalgia. It was the kind of cafe she had frequented with her ex-husband in happier times. "Let's sit outside," Oliver suggested as they stepped in, his voice laced with a hint of eagerness. "The weather is too nice to waste." "Good idea." Lucas chimed in, already making his way to a table under a parasol. The moment they settled, Evelyn felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. Oliver ordered coffee for himself and hot chocolate for Lucas, while Evelyn chose a pastry. With each passing moment, the air thickened with a potent blend of anticipation and uncertainty. "Here you go," Oliver said, handing Lucas his drink, their fingers brushing against each other momentarily. A spark lit between them again, and Evelyn's cheeks flushed. "Thanks, Oliver," Lucas said, his eyes lighting up as he took a sip, the froth leaving a tiny mustache on his upper lip. "This is the best hot chocolate ever." Evelyn couldn't suppress her laughter, delighted to see Lucas so happy. Oliver joined in, their camaraderie warming Evelyn's heart. She felt a fleeting sense of normalcy, something she desperately craved, an escape from her chaotic life. "Evelyn," Oliver said, his voice dropping slightly, pulling her attention back to him. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," she replied, her heart picking up speed. "Why did you agree to come out with me? I mean, I thought I was being bold when I invited you." Evelyn hesitated, the weight of his question pressing against her chest. "Honestly, she began, her voice steady. "I'm not sure if I'm ready to dive back into dating, but there's something about you that feels different." He smiled, and she noted the way his eyes sparkled with intrigue. "Different how?" "It's just, you're refreshing," she admitted, feeling a rush of vulnerability. "It's been a while since I've felt anything other than overwhelmed, you know." "I get that," he said, his gaze unwavering. "Life has a way of overwhelming us sometimes, but moments like this," he gestured between them, "they remind us to breathe." Evelyn felt her heart race at his words. The connection was undeniable, yet she couldn't shake the remnants of doubt. "I'm not very good at this anymore," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how to flirt or whatever this is." "Neither do I," he said, his tone light yet earnest. "But isn't that part of the fun? Figuring it out as we go?" Before she could respond, Lucas chimed in, pulling their attention back. "Ma, can we talk about the jellyfish again? I have a new favorite." His enthusiasm broke the tension, and they all laughed, but Evelyn felt a flicker of uncertainty return. A child's innocence was a beautiful reminder of how complex adult relationships could be. Could she truly allow herself to be open to Oliver? They spent the next hour chatting, laughter mingling with the aroma of coffee and baked goods. Lucas regaled them with facts about marine life, his youthful exuberance captivating both adults. Evelyn found herself stealing glances at Oliver, drawn to the way he listened intently, his eyes never leaving Lucas. Eventually, the conversation shifted back to Oliver, who shared snippets of his life. "I grew up in a small town, far from the city. I didn't have much, but I always dreamed big." "What about now?" Evelyn asked, intrigued by his story. "Are you still dreaming?" He hesitated for a moment, the spark in his eyes dimming slightly. "I am, but it's complicated. I've lost some of that adventurous spirit in the grind of work." "Life can do that," she responded softly, feeling an unspoken understanding pass between them. "It's easy to forget what we wanted." Oliver nodded, his expression thoughtful. "And you? You're more than just a mom, Evelyn. What do you want?" Her breath caught in her throat. No one had asked her that in a long time. "I want to feel alive again," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "To rediscover who I am outside of being a mother." "That's a beautiful goal," he said, leaning closer, their connection palpable. "And I think you deserve it." Evelyn felt a rush of warmth at his words, a glimmer of hope lighting within her. Could this be the beginning of something new? Something she had thought was lost forever? Suddenly, Lucas piped up, breaking through their charged moment. "Can we get ice cream after this?" "Ice cream sounds like a great idea." Oliver responded enthusiastically, diverting their attention. Evelyn laughed, shaking her head at her son's unyielding spirit. "You really are full of great ideas today." As they finished their drinks, the playful banter resumed, and time slipped away like water through their fingers. Yet, as they prepared to leave, the tension lingered, an electrifying current that neither could ignore any longer. "Evelyn," Oliver said, stopping her as they exited the cafe, "I really enjoyed today. I hope we can do this again." "Me too," she replied, feeling a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "I didn't realize how much I needed this." "Then, let's make it happen," he said, his voice earnest. "I'll text you, and we can plan something." "Sounds good," she said, her heart racing. But as they exchanged numbers, doubt crept in again. Could she really allow this man, this wonderful connection, into her complicated world? Lucas, oblivious to the electric tension, pulled on her hand. "Mom, let's go get that ice cream." Evelyn glanced back at Oliver, who offered her a warm smile, a silent promise that this wasn't the end. "I'll see you soon," he said softly, and without. Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling of Oliver's gaze lingering on her as they walked towards the ice cream shop. Lucas chatted animatedly about jellyfish, but her mind replayed the moment they exchanged numbers, the weight of it sinking in. "Did you know that some jellyfish can glow in the dark?" Lucas said, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "I want to see one of those." "Bioluminescent jellyfish, right?" Oliver chimed in, walking alongside them. "They're fascinating creatures. I remember seeing them at a night exhibit once. It looked like magic." Evelyn smiled at how effortlessly Oliver engaged with Lucas, the ease in their dynamic. But underneath the warmth of the moment, doubt gnawed at her. How could she open her heart to someone so effortlessly charming, so different from her world of responsibilities and heartache? "Mom, can I get strawberry?" Lucas was tugging at her hand now, his brown eyes pleading. "Please." "Of course, sweetheart. You love strawberry," she replied, her thoughts swirling. "You know, when I was a kid, I used to mix strawberry and vanilla together." Oliver laughed, the sound rich and easy. "Now that sounds like a winning combination. I might have to try that." Once inside the shop, the air was thick with the sweet scent of waffle cones and fruity delights. The cheerful decorations, including bright murals of ice cream cones and smiling characters, surrounded them, creating a light-hearted atmosphere. "What do you want, Oliver?" Evelyn asked, glancing at the menu overhead, trying to pull her focus back into the present. "Something adventurous," he said with a playful grin. "Maybe something with a little crunch." "Like cookies and cream?" she suggested, her tone teasing. "Now that's a classic, but I might have to get something that surprises me," he replied, his eyes glinting with mischief. "You know, as a finance guy, I'm all about calculated risks." "Oh, really?" she quipped, raising an eyebrow. "And is flirting with a single mom a calculated risk?" He paused, a smile dancing on his lips as he leaned in slightly. "You could say it's a risk worth taking." Her heart skipped a beat. Was he flirting? The tension between them hummed in the air, both exhilarating and terrifying. She quickly turned to the counter, trying to mask her flustered state. Lucas was already at the front, bouncing on his toes, his impatience palpable. "Can I get a double scoop, Mom, please?" "All right. But just this once," she relented, the familiar pang of guilt mixing with the sweetness of the moment. It was hard not to give in to his joy. As they placed their orders, Evelyn felt Oliver's presence beside her, a steady warmth that made her heart race. "What about you?" she asked, attempting to regain control of the conversation. "What are you getting?" "I'm feeling adventurous," he replied, leaning closer so only she could hear. "How about something bold like mint chocolate chip?" "Bold indeed," she said, her cheeks warming slightly. "I'll be sure to remember that about you." Their ice creams were soon in hand, and Lucas led the way outside, chomping eagerly on his strawberry delight, leaving Evelyn and Oliver to navigate the moment. "Here's to daring flavors," Oliver said, lifting his cone in a toast. "And new experiences." "To new experiences," she echoed, her heart fluttering with the weight of his gaze. They strolled down the sun-drenched street, Lucas racing ahead, occasionally stopping to examine passing cars or chasing after a stray dog. There was a carefree rhythm to their afternoon, a blend of laughter and joy that Evelyn hadn't felt in ages. "Lucas seems really excited," Oliver said, breaking the comfortable silence. "He's," she replied, her smile widening as she watched her son. "He's always been a ball of energy. I love that about him, but it can be overwhelming." "Parenting is a tough gig," Oliver said compassionately. "But it looks like you're doing a great job." "Thank you," she said, a blush creeping to her cheeks. "I just try to keep up with him." They reached a park, a sprawling green space filled with families enjoying the day. Lucas darted toward the swings, his laughter echoing in the air, and Evelyn felt a pang of gratitude for this day, for the unexpected reprieve from her routine. "Want to sit for a bit?" Oliver suggested, gesturing to a nearby bench. "Sure," she agreed, settling onto the bench, feeling the warmth of the sun on her skin. "This is nice." "Very," he replied, his gaze drifting to Lucas, who had commandeered the swing set, his legs kicking in joy. "He's got a great spirit. You must be proud." She said, her heart swelling. "He's had to deal with a lot at such a young age, but he's resilient. Children have a way of surprising us," Oliver said thoughtfully. "They adapt faster than we think." "True," she acknowledged, glancing at him. "What about you? Do you have siblings?" "I'm an only child," he admitted, his expression turning a touch serious. "It was pretty quiet growing up, but I think it made me independent. I can be a bit of a lone wolf." Evelyn noted the shift in his tone, a hint of vulnerability she hadn't expected. "Do you wish you had siblings?" He pondered for a moment, his eyes fixed on the ground. "Sometimes. I think having a family around would have given me different experiences. But I've also learned to create my own family through friends." The openness of his confession tugged at her heart. "Family can mean so many things." "Agreed," he said, meeting her gaze. "And I think you've created a wonderful family with Lucas." Just then, Lucas zoomed over, his hair tousled by the wind. "Mom, can I go on the slide?" "Of course. Just be careful, all right?" she called after him, watching as he raced off. "Your son's got a good sense of adventure," Oliver said, his voice warm. "He does," she replied, feeling momentarily lost in thought. "Sometimes I worry that I'm not giving him enough of a childhood, you know? It's hard to balance everything." Oliver leaned back, a thoughtful expression on his face. "You're doing the best you can, Evelyn. Kids thrive on love and attention, and it's clear he feels that from you." His words soothed a part of her that had been restless. "It's nice to hear that," she said softly. "I feel like I'm constantly measuring my worth as a mother." "You shouldn't have to measure it," he replied, his tone earnest. "Love is what matters most." Evelyn felt her chest tighten. He was so genuine, so refreshing, and the way he spoke made her feel seen. "Thank you, Oliver." The moment stretched, the air around them thick with unspoken words. She could sense the chemistry between them. It was undeniable. Yet the walls she had built since her divorce felt formidable. "Do you ever wonder what could have been?" he asked suddenly, breaking the tension. "About relationships?" she asked, surprised. "Yeah, about choices we make," he clarified, his green eyes searching hers. She hesitated, the question weighing heavily on her. "All of the time, I think about what I could have done differently, how I might be happier, or if I was chasing the wrong dreams. Maybe it was meant to happen like this," he said, his voice low. "We learn and grow from experiences, even the painful ones." His words resonated with her, and she felt a flicker of hope among the shadows of her doubts. "You're all right," she said, her voice gaining strength. "I can't change the past, but I can choose how to move forward." "Exactly," he said, leaning slightly closer, his intensity almost palpable. "And I believe you're capable of amazing things, Evelyn. It's never too late to rediscover yourself." A silence fell between them, thick with electricity as their eyes locked. Evelyn felt a wave of emotions wash over her, a mixture of fear, excitement, and longing. The world around them faded, leaving just the two of them and the possibility of something more. "Hey, Mom," Lucas called, interrupting their moment. "Can we go get more ice cream? Please?" Both adults chuckled, the tension breaking as they turned towards Lucas. "Just one more scoop, all right?" Evelyn called, her heart still racing from the connection they had shared. "Yay!" Lucas jumped, running back toward them. Oliver laughed, the sound warm and bright. "See, adventure awaits in every moment, even after ice cream." "Yes, it does," Evelyn agreed, glancing back at Oliver. "Maybe I should take your advice more often. Just remember," he said softly, "I'm here if you ever want to talk about those adventures." As they made their way back toward the shop, Evelyn felt a spark of excitement in her chest, a sense of possibility. She was beginning to realize that perhaps stepping outside her comfort zone wasn't as scary as she had thought. And maybe, Just maybe, in the chaos of life, she could find someone who would help her rediscover. Evelyn walked alongside Oliver, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Lucas darted ahead, his laughter ringing out like music in the air. The ice cream shop loomed ahead, vibrant with colors and the promise of sugary delights. But Evelyn's mind was elsewhere, lost in the uncharted territory of her feelings for Oliver. "Do you think they have mint chocolate chip?" Oliver asked, breaking her reverie. "Sure, and if they don't, I'm afraid we'll have to revolt," Evelyn joked, her heart warming at the easy banter between them. "Oh no, not a revolt. I'd much rather keep the peace," Oliver grinned, his green eyes sparkling with mischief. As they entered the shop, the sweet, creamy scent enveloped them. Lucas rushed to the counter, bouncing on his heels as he stared up at the vibrant array of flavors. Evelyn felt a smile tug at her lips. Watching her son brought her a sense of joy that felt foreign yet familiar. "What do you want, Mom?" Lucas asked, turning to her, his eyes wide with expectation. "I think I'll go with vanilla," she said, feeling a hint of nostalgia wash over her. "It's classic and boring," Lucas replied teasingly. "Hey, classic is never boring. It's dependable," she shot back playfully, giving him a wink. Oliver leaned in closer, lowering his voice. "I think you should try something more adventurous, like strawberry mint. It could be a delightful surprise." "Strawberry mint?" Evelyn raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Now that does sound interesting." "See? You're already being adventurous," he encouraged, his tone light yet sincere. "Okay, I'll give it a try," she relented, her heart skipping at the thought of stepping outside her comfort zone. There was something liberating about being challenged like this, encouraged to embrace spontaneity. Lucas, growing impatient, tugged at her sleeve. "Mom, can we hurry? I need my ice cream." All right, she laughed and approached the counter, ordering for herself and Lucas. Oliver ordered a scoop of cookies and cream, his eyes dancing with excitement. As they stepped out of the shop, ice cream in hand, the sun had begun to dip lower in the sky, casting golden hues across everything it touched. They found a small picnic table nearby, and as they settled in, Lucas dug into his double scoop with glee. "Did you get the strawberry mint?" Oliver asked, watching her with an encouraging smile. "I did," she replied, taking a tentative lick. The flavors burst in her mouth, refreshing and vibrant. "Wow, this is actually really good." She turned to him, a genuine smile breaking across her face. "You might be onto something. Looks like I have a knack for flavors," he said, feigning arrogance, and they both laughed. The warmth of his gaze felt like a sunbeam, igniting something deep inside her. "Do you cook?" she asked, curiosity piqued. "On occasion," he admitted. "I'm better at picking out wine than cooking, though. It's a skill I'm still working on." "Wine, huh? What's your favorite?" she asked, trying to keep the conversation light. "Depends on the mood," he said, leaning back and resting his chin on his hand. "But I have a soft spot for a good Pinot Noir. It reminds me of family dinners." "Family dinners sound nice," she said, feeling a twinge of longing. "It's been a while since I've had a proper one." "Family is important," he replied, his tone shifting slightly. "It grounds us, gives us a sense of belonging." Evelyn felt a pang of vulnerability at his words. "You sound like you have a close family." "I do," he said, his gaze thoughtful. "But it wasn't always that way. It took time to build those connections." "Sounds like a journey worth taking," she said, realizing how much she related to that sentiment. "I'm still figuring out how to navigate mine." "I think that's part of the adventure," Oliver said, his voice softening. "Each step teaches us something new." Evelyn felt a surge of warmth at his insight. Here was a man who understood the complexities of life and relationships, someone who didn't shy away from deep conversations. "You have a wise perspective, Oliver," she said, admiration creeping into her tone. He held her gaze, the tension between them growing palpable. It's easy to see wisdom in someone else's journey. We often overlook our own. That's true, she agreed, wishing she could lean into this moment to explore whatever it was that simmered between them. Do you ever feel like you're stuck? He asked, his voice low and serious, pulling her attention back to him. More than I'd like to admit, she confessed, the truth spilling out with surprising ease. There are days when I wonder if I'm doing enough, especially for Lucas. You're doing more than you know, he said, his tone earnest. Every day you're there for him, that counts for everything. His words tugged at her heart, the sincerity in his gaze anchoring her. I wish I had your confidence, she admitted softly. You don't need my confidence, he replied, leaning closer. You have your own strength, Evelyn. It's just buried beneath the expectations. Evelyn felt the weight of his words settle over her, a combination of warmth and tension. I want to rediscover that strength. Then, let's explore it together, he suggested, his eyes glinting with mischief. I know this incredible little hiking trail not far from here. We could go one weekend. A hike? Her heart raced at the thought. That sounds adventurous. Exactly, he said, a playful grin on his lips. You can't rediscover yourself sitting at home. I'll think about it, she replied, her heart fluttering. There was an unspoken challenge in his words, and part of her wanted to rise to it. Just then, Lucas' voice broke through, filled with excitement. Look, Mom, I can swing higher than ever. Evelyn turned, her heart swelling with pride. Be careful, honey, she called, but she couldn't hide her smile. Your son's got a great spirit, Oliver remarked, his gaze fond as he watched Lucas. He really does, she said, feeling gratitude wash over her. He's been my anchor through all the chaos. Good to have an anchor, Oliver replied, his voice warm. It keeps us grounded when the waves get rough. They shared a comfortable silence, and Evelyn felt the connection between them deepening, a bond woven through shared stories and raw honesty. The moment felt fragile yet powerful, as if they were on the brink of something significant. But as she watched Lucas, a surge of doubt crept in. Could she truly invite someone like Oliver into her life? Someone who seemed so put together while she felt like a ship lost at sea? Do you think Lucas is ready for a new friend in his life? Oliver asked suddenly, breaking her spiral of thoughts. I hope so, Evelyn replied, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. It's just, I worry about him getting attached to someone who might not stay. I get that, Oliver said, a hint of seriousness creeping into his tone. But sometimes the best connections happen unexpectedly. Kids are resilient. They tend to bounce back. That's true, she acknowledged, her heart racing at the thought of Oliver becoming a part of their world. I guess I'm just protective of him. Understandable, he said gently. You're his mom, after all, but you deserve happiness too, Evelyn. His words struck a chord, and she felt a flicker of hope amidst the uncertainty. You're right. I can't keep waiting for the right moment. Maybe I need to create it. That's the spirit, he encouraged, his smile infectious. Life's too short to hold back. As they sat in the fading light, the warmth of the afternoon wrapping around them like a comforting blanket, Evelyn felt the tension that had lingered between them shift. Here was a man who saw her, not just as a mother, but as a woman deserving of joy and adventure. Thank you for today, Oliver, she said, her voice soft yet genuine. I needed it more than I realized. Anytime, he replied, his gaze steady and unwavering. I'm glad we crossed paths. Lucas dashed back over, his ice cream smeared across his cheek. Can we go to the playground next? Oh, of course, buddy, Evelyn said, her heart fluttering at how effortlessly Oliver had become part of their day. As they made their way to the playground, Evelyn's mind danced between excitement and trepidation. Could this be the start of something new, a connection that could help her rediscover herself? Or was it merely a fleeting moment, a taste of joy that would soon fade? Hey, what do you say we make this a regular thing? Oliver suggested as they walked, his tone light yet hopeful. Evelyn paused, her heart racing at the thought. You mean like hanging out more often? Exactly. Let's explore the world together. Ice cream hikes, whatever. I think we have something good here, he said, gesturing between them. The idea sent a rush of warmth